Hey everyone, this is Tim Winters with UnionCounty Football, and it's my pleasure to have on with me today Parkwood's new head football coach, Coach Gittens, who has just joined the program yesterday. It was announced, and Coach, thanks for being on with me today. Congratulations, and welcome to Union County.
Thank you. I appreciate the time and go Rebels.
There you go. So, Coach, I know this is it's been a strange situation over the last 6 weeks or so with the shutdown. Can you describe? I mean, I know Coach Speakman, I think, stepped down like mid-March, March 18th or so. Uh, your interview process. Can you describe that with the shutdown? How unique that was, because you have held other positions before. You've interviewed. Just describe this interview process compared to the other ones in the past.
Well, it was very intense. With the way that everything is going now with the coronavirus and everything on Zoom and, not being personable and kind of on a distance, it was different. But I must say the people at Parkwood made it really easy and comfortable. Great group of administrators over there, Rocky, the AD, Miss Allie, Mr. DeLuca, the assistant principal. It was pretty easy. It was smooth going, and the questions and responses and everything. I felt like I was already there at home through the interview process. To be honest with you, it was really a good experience. Again, I'm excited to get ready to get rolling. I just wish everybody be safe. Still understand the level of distance you have to have. But once we get the okay to move forward, we'll be putting our boots in the ground and get going.
I hear you. Now, you mentioned the distance. I know this is you were just announced yesterday.
Yes, sir.
What about the coordination, meeting with the team, meeting with the community? Has that been discussed? What's the layout or the plans to pull something out within the next week or two on that?
We're in the process of working that out now. I've been in communications with Coach Rocky about setting all that up through Zoom. The assistant coaches I've talked to yesterday for the first time. So we're actually putting together a barrage of different things to try to make that happen. Social media has been a blessing, to be honest with you.
Right.
That has actually connected me with a lot of the guys. Just communicating with them, introducing myself to the community. I'm a big community guy. I want everybody to come out and support us. So whatever we need to do, we're in the process now of creating that platform to make sure that happens. So far, we're working diligently to get that all together.
Well, Coach, you and I have never met before,
Yes, sir.
but I read a little bit about your background. One thing we do have in common, we're both originally from New York.
Oh, okay.
I was born in Queens, raised out on Long Island. I
Okay.
worked in Manhattan for a good number of years. Tell the folks a little, well, actually, before I get to the question, just to find out your sports affiliations, being a Brooklynite, as you can see right behind me here, I'm going to point up a little bit. A Mets fan or Yankees fan?
Yankees.
Wow. And that's for people that don't know the layout, that's a rarity really in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, yes.
That's a Dodger town, a National League town, and usually Mets are from the Brooklyn area.
You're right. Absolutely. Born and bred in Brooklyn, New York. I went to Samuel J. Tilden High School, played quarterback there, graduated, went to Cheyney State University, played football there for a head coach named Coach Hanson.
Mm-hmm.
Once leaving school, got into coaching. My very first coaching experience was Pop Warner football. Coached 14-year-olds at an organization called the Brooklyn Skyhawks at the parade grounds. Right. And that was a great experience. After leaving there, I went to Poly Prep Country Day School, coached with Dino Mangiero. One of the young men that I did coach at Poly Prep is now the head football coach for the Miami Dolphins, Brian Flores.
Oh, yeah.
So after leaving there, I went to Christ the King High School, where I was the offensive coordinator for 2 years. In 2003, we won. In that time, it was the city championship. So we did that, and then after leaving there, I ended up going to.
It's more traditionally known as a basketball program.
Basketball school,
right?
Absolutely, yeah. Yes, sir. So I coached a young man named Maurice Evans, who ended up going to Penn State and played for a couple of years at Penn State. Then after leaving there, I ended up going to school in Brooklyn for a little bit. coached some semi-pro football for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last stint in New York was at Campus Magnet High School in Queens, which used to be Andrew Jackson.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I coached there for a little bit, and then I ended up relocating here in 2008 in North Carolina. So, and then my North Carolina experience came from, I coached 2 years with Chris Metzger at Pinecrest.
Right.
Then I coached at Union Pines for a year with Ryan Riggins. And then in 2011, I ended up at Cox Mill High School.
Your roles at Union Pines and Pinecrest, what were your titles there? What were you coaching there?
At Pinecrest, I was a wide receiver coach. I coached two tremendous athletes, James Baldwin, who ended up being drafted by the LA Dodgers, and a gentleman by the name of Jaron Wooten, who's now a teacher in North Carolina. So I coached some pretty good guys. And then when I went to Union Pines for a year, I was a defensive coordinator at Union Pines.
So you moved over to Cox Mill, and you had some good teams there at Cox Mill, a school that's played a few UnionCounty teams, actually played Parkwood a few times, and
Yes.
You've really had their number,
Yeah.
I think, over the last few years. So you did get a sense of Parkwood last year,
Yes,
coordinating against them, and they had a very good offensive squad. What really attracted you to the program?
Well, initially when it was first mentioned to me about the position by a very close friend of mine, Brad Hanson, who's the AD at Mount Pleasant, he's a Monroe guy. We talked about it, and based off of our involvement playing them during the last 4 seasons, they were, really good young men. They were respectful. And when you look at that, you kind of question, what the program's about. And we played them at their home field. The facilities was really good. So it just kind of made sense at the end of the day, especially speaking to Brad Henson, who's a Monroe guy. And He was like, man, this school, he played at Monroe, he went to Wingate. So there was a lot of information that I was able to retain from him in reference to the area, the kind of community it is. It's blue collar. Everybody's like elbow to elbow. Let's make it happen. Let's work together. So I retained a lot of information from him, and that was actually a true blessing that I was able to get that information.
Yeah, that key insights always is a big deal. Looking for a position, right?
No question.
So you at Cox Mill, you're a defensive coordinator. At least that's where when you left, you were a DC. How would you describe to the Parkwood community your defensive philosophy on that side of the ball?
I call it KISS, keep it simple and stupid. We don't do too much. Initially, when I became a defensive coordinator, I thought we had to have an array of things to do. And, I'm a true evaluator of talent. So depending on what you have, that's what you can run. So we'll be fast to the football. We'll be very disciplined. Make sure we know our responsibilities and alignments. If we can do that, we'll play fast. And, we play in a very tough conference. So when you look at that from that perspective, I call it the SEC of high school. You're talking about, Charlotte Catholic, who's state champions, Weddington, Marvin Ridge. You play against some tough competition. So my belief is, like, if we can go in and be prepared and do the things that we need to do, tackle and no fumbles and, create turnovers and do those type of things, knock on wood, we'll come out to be successful. So we'll be fast and we'll be disciplined.
What would your former players say about you, most importantly, you, and then secondly, as a coach? What do you think most of those guys, because I have read a lot of social media posts over the last 24 hours, a ton of compliments from your former players, but what in particular would you think they would say about you, your coaching style, and you personally?
I have a passion for young men to be successful. Football is just the tip of the iceberg. Even we're going to win and lose games. All coaches want to do that, but at the end of the day, to know that you have, a tremendous amount of young men who graduate from high school, go on to college, and come back 15, 20 years later and say, man, coach, the things that you talked to me about, the things that we did and the different projects we associate ourselves with in the community had put me in a position to be a great husband, great father. And that to me is what they would say. Cause mentoring is a huge deal for me. You've got to be honest. You got to be upfront with young men, female or male, to be honest with you. student athletes are very special and rare because they have to go through a lot educationally and doing practice and different things like that. So you got to pat them on the back every now and then, but you got to be stern. You got to have tough love. And that's what I feel like they would say, because, you know, it's tough being a coach nowadays. You know, you deal with a lot of different things. So, you know, I would say, you know, they know I love them, and I do what I can.
Yep. A lot of people know the time that coaches put in, but I don't know if they truly appreciate. They hear days and hours, but when they really think about the time that you spend mentoring these kids, looking at game film, Saturday, Sunday, I mean, it just doesn't end for a high school football coach.
No, it doesn't. It's a long process, but you know, we don't get paid a lot, so you got to love what you do, and you have to appreciate the steps that need to be taken in order to be successful. And you know, if you can have that understood, and again, I'm a community guy. From your community to your players to administration and all that stuff, it's all going to come together. It's all going to end up being one. You know, I have 3 things that I talk about all the time that I'm going to implement: is faith, family, football, and legacy. If we can accomplish all those things and create that legacy, you know, it's written in stone that we'll be okay. You know, but if we can all buy in, we'll be okay.
Well, Coach, you inherit a team that's coming off their best winning percentage season since 2008. That being said, you are also, and I'm sure you're aware of this, you're graduating 26 seniors. So the turnover is, you know, a big part of what you're going to be inheriting. But with your years of experience, I'm sure you know how to deal with that. What, or at least we all hope you do.
Yeah.
What's the perspective? How do you go into the mindset taking over this team that's had success, but a lot of the success is now walking out the door and you're starting with a younger team? Just talk about that a little bit.
Well, the first thing I really want to do is have them come in and do a clear evaluation. And again, I've spoken to our offensive coordinator, Coach Brian, and to get his insight on what he thinks offensively. Parkwood has been known for having guys go both ways. I've been a 2 platoon guy for a pretty long time. So the first thing we really need to do is evaluate the talent to make sure that they understand our perspective as far as what we need from them. You know, it's going to be tough, but at the end of the day, you know, I have a problem having sophomores play early, let their head spin a little bit. And I think it just comes down to fundamentals. If you teach them fundamentals, they'll be okay. But the very first task is bringing them in and just having this, I go to church meeting and really talk about the expectations on what needs to be done, and also talk about, you know, what they liked about the program, what they want to do. And the last piece to that is, man, we got to hit the weight room. Everything happens in the weight room. You know, if we go in with the mindset of really knocking out the weight room and taking the weight room and transition into the football field, we'll be okay. You know, it's tough losing 26, 27 seniors who have grown and developed and created tradition. Even if you talk about that years of success from 2008 to present, you know, it's hard. But I think if we can create and have a feeling of presence and to continue to create that legacy, they'll be okay. We'll be all right.
That sounds good, Coach. And lastly, you know, we started out saying this is a fluid situation. What's your plan right now to implement anything between now and then receiving that green light from the state when you guys can return to the practice field?
Well, the first thing that we've talked about as of yesterday was really trying to do a wellness check on players, make sure they're okay, their family's okay. And the biggest thing is to try to have them understand the importance of working out. Coach L, who's our O-line coach, he has put together some really good workouts. He's put it on canvas and different things of that nature. So the very first thing we really need to try to do is have them understand the importance of working out. You know, these are times that we've never been through, so it's new for everyone. And you know, some people will say that we're all starting on the same level, but In some instances, yes, because if you talk about 100% of something, trust me, you got maybe 30% kids really knocking it out. You got another 30 doing it when they kind of want. You got another 30 kind of like, and you got 10 like, man, I'm not doing anything. So that's just being honest. So what we're trying to do right now is to create a true level of social media to just make sure that we're okay creating Zoom accounts, talking to the kids to start getting to know them, the community, different things to that nature, so that at least when they walk in the door, it's more about a presence as opposed to who's the face. So, you can see me on Zoom, but, when I walk in the door, I want to be able to say, okay, here we go. Let's strap it up. Let's get going. We have, as of last night, we were having meetings and I was writing down stuff. I have a whole bunch of stuff in front of me. We're putting together plans right now to, like, if they called us tomorrow and said the doors are open, as I told the coaches already, I want to be in a situation where we are prepared that when we walk in the door, we're moving. We're not kind of like picking and choosing stuff. I've already talked to them about a depth chart. So I'm looking for a lot of information from the assistant coaches who've been there. So now I can come in and go, okay, who's this guy? So we've created depth charts. We've created different practice plans, what we're going to do the first week, and install. Like, we've started, as of yesterday, we've been talking for about 6-7 hours. We've been kind of implementing those different things so we can get the ball rolling right away.
Well, you're in a good position because you do have a good supporting staff of some very good coaches. And Coach L, you mentioned, Coach Tamalone, and these guys, they know the squad. So you're going to get some good, accurate information from those guys.
Absolutely. So they've been a blessing to me so far. So I'm excited, and I'm not a micromanager. And I constantly tell them this is about us. It's not about me. I know head coaching title, but at the end of the day, we all got to be successful. I want those guys, and they're young. I want them to look forward to maybe being a head coach one day, or, going on to bigger and better things. So this is a great stepping stone for them to be successful. And if you can be successful, hey, more power to you. Let's make it happen.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, one last thing, you just bring it back to Brooklyn for a second. When I moved here, my wife and I, we moved down here in 2003. So we've been down here for a while.
Oh, wow.
We left a lot of family up there. One of the things I missed most leaving New York was the food.
Oh.
The food's come a long way since we've been down here.
Yeah.
But the pizza. And one of my favorite slices of pizza is actually in Brooklyn at Grimaldi's at the base of the Brooklyn Bridge. You're not familiar with Grimaldi's?
Is that near?
It's right at the base of the Brooklyn Bridge.
So that's over by like Trinity.
Yep.
Over that way, yeah. I haven't had that pizza.
Yeah, that Grimaldi's is good. I mean, John's of Bleecker Street. That is, when you're in Manhattan, that's the place to go.
That's the place to go.
But if you're in Brooklyn, Grimaldi's.
Okay, when I go back, I'll stay in contact with you, and I might need to go there and check that one out. Normally, I would go to Ray's Pizza in the city. But I tell you, I do love pizza, but one of my favorite places to go is Katz.
Oh, Katz Deli.
Pastrami. Oh my God. Woo!
It's hard to find that down here.
Yeah, it is. Very much so is. But Katz up in New York City and the Lower East, it's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, but yeah, when you go back to New York or I go back, we got to hang out and go together and check out. I'll go to a Met game for you. Don't worry.
Oh, and one last one, Junior's Cheesecake.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
No question.
Right.
Absolutely. You can't go to New York without getting a piece of cheesecake. You are absolutely
bring it full circle.
Absolutely. No question. But New York has changed so much. Downtown Brooklyn has changed. It's become more of a business kind of area. They've upgraded apartments down there, and people from that lower east side of Manhattan are moving across the bridge. And I still have family in Brooklyn. My brother's there, my nephews, my mom. So, I don't go back too often, but when I do go back, I love North Carolina so much, to be honest with you, since I've come down here since 2008. So when I go back to New York, I may be there. I may say I want to stay a week, and I may, after day 3, I'm like, I got to go back.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm pretty much the same way. I got to
go back home. But I love New York. It's awesome. It's an incredible place. Absolutely. So.
Well, Coach, I do appreciate the time you gave me this afternoon. I wish you all the best at Parkwood. I know the community is really excited about you getting out there, and I'm looking forward to following you and the team as we move ahead, and hopefully we can get on to the field sooner than later. And I look forward to all of it. And I thank you again.
Well, Tim, I appreciate your time, and anything that I can do to help you and be a part of our Parkwood family, please feel free. And like I said before, go Rebels.
There you go. Thanks, Coach.
All right, have a good day.
You too.